Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have Keith Good here joining us once again. And today's topic, yes, we are talking about spirituality and so much more with all that he does. I mean, he's a man of many titles. Would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, my name is Keith Good. I am a spiritual seeker and founder of Good Holistic Healing. And you can reach us at goodholistichealing.com. info@goodholistichealing.com and 406-272-6006.
Beautiful. And I know you live and practice, energy healing. You're based out of Billings, Montana, but working with people all over. He's just so modest. He's a crystal healer, a chakra healer, a meditation guide, spiritual mentor, so much more. Reiki master. So go to the website, goodholistichealing.com to find out more. And today he's going to continue on the journey. Last time we spoke in regards to spirituality. So do you mind just giving us a quick little recap of what we were talking about last time we were together?
Last time we were together, we were talking some basics on spiritual seeking and how you can go about it in different manners, and what the importance is of the fine thread that goes through all the research that maybe you would determine is the truth. And so today we're going to move on to some other subjects that are hopefully going to bring some thinking and some ways of looking at things that you may not have looked at things in the past, and just try to go through some ideas that are not necessarily brought to the attention of people on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. For example?
Well, let's start out with the first thing I have. I have a little list here that I wrote down. And the first thing I want to talk about is omnipresence of the spirit. Omnipresence of people, the things that you would call God, or the Great Spirit, or Source, or as I call it, just Spirit. Omnipresence means that it is present in everything. So if we assume that God is omnipresent, then we have to understand that omnipresence means that he is in his whole, is there in everything.
Okay.
Now, when most people think of omnipresence, they say, okay, he's omnipresent in everything but me.
Wow.
They forget to include the fact that they are part of everything. Therefore, the omnipresence means God or Source is within you, is within each one of us. And that is something that we have a hard time conceiving, simply because the conditioning of society today, especially in the United States, tells us that God is separate from us, that God is outside of us. So I just want people to entertain the fact that if God is omnipresent, if he is present in everything, then he must be present in us. And that means every piece of us, not just a little piece in our brain or in our heart. It's in every cell, every molecule, everything we have, every piece of our DNA. It has been suggested to me that the junk DNA that we have in our bodies may be the reason we can't find out what those are, is because they are about spirituality. They are about the God spot in us. Now, that's just a suggestion. I don't know if anybody can fathom that or not, but it does make some sense that if we don't use it, usually we get rid of it.
Yeah.
If we don't need it. If we don't need it, I mean, you can just look at your digestive and see that. Your digestive system says, I don't need this, so I'm going to excrete it.
Yeah.
And if we didn't need all that DNA, it wouldn't be there. So that doesn't mean that it is up and running, but it also may mean that it is up and running and we just can't detect it because we don't have the right instruments to figure out what it is. So just food for thought for people to think about. Why do we have all this stuff that supposedly is dormant and just sitting there?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, that DNA is in every cell of every person's body. And that might be become what is most common in everybody that unites us. If we are, if God is omnipresent and he is in every cell of us and each one of us has him in us, we cannot be an individual.
Yeah.
We have to be connected. So then you can go to, and this is just something I thought of recently. So that can lead to what is the power of prayer? Because we know that the power of prayer works well. It's been shown. And this is just my theory. I have no proof of any of this. This is just thinking of my own.
Yeah.
But if we're all connected, then why wouldn't prayer work? We're all connected. We're sending it through the internet of the universe to get to the other person because there's a connection between us.
Yeah.
So, it just only makes sense to me logically, and that's not an innate knowing. That is more of a contemplative thought pattern that I've come through to come up with that idea.
Of course.
Which brings me to the next subject after omnipresence. And we talked last week about some researching and doing your studies to become more spiritual. And the studies themselves don't necessarily make you more spiritual. You have to do something inside yourself to understand them, and not understand them in your brain, but to understand them in your whole, in your heart, in your whole, all of you. And how do you do that? Well, the two main ways that I would say to do that, that I would suggest, is contemplating things and meditating on things. And that's how, as we talked a few weeks ago or whatever, and every time you introduce me, you tell them all these different things that I do, but they really all work together. And this is where meditation comes in, is to digest and become one with the spirit of the omnipresence of God. To get out of our ego, get out of our duality, and into the omnipresence of spirit. Because, as I've said before, our body is earthly. It appears through birth, and it disappears through death.
Yeah.
But spirit is everlasting. Spirit was never born, and spirit never dies. So that's what we're trying to do. We are not in touch. We have no concept of what spirit is a lot of times. Yeah. We only have a concept of what we see, what we feel, what we use our five senses for. And the sixth sense is really, there's some discrepancies here. Some people say sixth sense is your thought. Some people say a sixth sense can be a connection with your higher power or the ether. I just learned recently, I've mentioned in the past that I do Akashic Records, and I've been doing some studying. And I just learned reading, and I didn't know this when I studied the Akashic Records, but the word Akash in Sanskrit means ether. So Akashic Records are your records of the ether.
That's like the records of like your DNA, of your ancestors, right?
Of you in other lives.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Wow.
Okay. So there is another thing, and I don't do anything about it, but there is people that can get back into your ancestral systems. But Akashic Records are of you, things that you don't remember about in this life, or things that you're going to do in the future, or things of past lives. And that's all about, because to them, past, present, and future is all happening right now. There is no past, present, and future. It's all now. So I only bring that up because it can give you an idea. If you have an Akashic reading, it can give you, it's not there to tell you what to do, but it can give you an idea of what you've done in the past, why you're working the way you are now, and where you might be going. Especially in this incarnation, it oftentimes doesn't tell us future incarnations, but it might tell us about where you're going in this incarnation. And of course, you have to understand that all that has to do with probabilities and possibilities, and our free will can alter that.
Wow.
However, again, that's part of spirit. That's the whole thing here, is that's part of spirit, not part of the body. Okay. So that leads us to one more thing about spirit. I don't know how many people out there have watched what we call NDEs on TV, which is people who have had near-death experiences. Now that's significant to me in spirit for this reason.
Yeah.
Everybody says that our mind is in our brain. But these people who have NDEs are brain dead.
Yeah.
And then they come back and remember everything. How can they remember all this if their brain is dead, if our mind is in our brain?
This is fascinating. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I've heard about this time and time again. Oh, my goodness.
You know, there's a difference between near-death experience, NDEs, and out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
An out-of-body experience is one that would be in the operating room, floating above them, watching them do the operation.
Heard that one,
and so forth. And a near-death experience is one that moves out of their body completely and goes to a heavenly-like place where other spirit forms are, and gets greeted by spirits and talk to other spirits or people, however you want to call them, and then comes back into their body, because the spirits will say, "You're not done yet. You have reason to still be on that earth." So they send you back into your body. So they completely have left this realm, compared to a out-of-body experience who has sort of hovered over the body or over the accident or whatever it is and watched it happen. So those are the two differences. But they still remember everything, even though they're out of the body, whether it's an NDE or an OBE, which is an out-of-body experience. Either one of them, they should not be able to remember anything if they're not in their body.
Yeah.
If mind is only in the brain. So these are some of the things that sort of give reason to question what we're taught about our mind, our brain, our body, our spirit. It gives reason for us to question it. And that's what I'm trying to do, is bring people for questioning, bring people out, all the audience, to see where they want to go and how they want to see this world in a different way. So you can get, like I say, contemplation. Contemplation is a great thing, because you take your studies, and your studies can be just what we're doing here today, just talking amongst people, listening to their side of the story. That's part of your studies. You know, it's not just about reading and watching TV and so forth. It's about being with people and entertaining and being open-minded enough to at least entertain their thoughts and their experiences, to see what resonates with you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And then you can start contemplating on all these things and see how they all work together. So that's pretty significant as far as I'm concerned.
Darn right it is.
And then meditate. And then meditating, true meditation, if you want to talk about transcendental meditation, is about going to no thing, have no thing to gain everything. In other words, you should not have, you leave all your senses behind. So as soon as you start playing music and you're listening to music, you're not going to get into a true meditation. If you start using a guided meditation, all these are helps to get you to calm down, to go into a regular meditation.
Yeah.
But they're not what you want. You know, I used to do guided meditations on a weekly basis. I don't do them that often anymore.
Okay.
And people would come out and say, come out of their meditation and say, "Keith, I have no idea what you said." I said, "Well, that's good. Because as soon as you lose my voice, you're going into a real meditation."
Yeah.
If you're listening to me, I'm only there to calm you down.
Wow.
To bring you to relax enough to get into a meditation. So as soon as you lose that sense of hearing or smell or taste or feeling or seeing, when you lose all of them and you just are just in you and you concentrate right here in your third eye, you just can go into a true meditation and get all kinds of information. You can get healing from that. You can get all kinds of things, and not everything. And that's the big thing that people don't understand about meditation.
Yeah,
is that we don't always get the answer right now, but we can relax ourselves to accept the answer when it comes, and that might come from the person walking in, sat down the Walmart aisle that's passing you in the Walmart aisle, or passing you in a grocery store, or whatever. Might just make a comment, and you'll say, "Oh," So those are some of the things to recognize the omnipresence of the God or Source.
And so we just got to remind everyone how we contact you, Keith, one more time.
Okay, GoodsHolisticHealing.com, info@GoodsHolisticHealing.com, or 406-272-6006. We do offer a 1-hour free consultation. Please go ahead and click on the Book Me button and find it and schedule your free consultation. We can see where we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And again, if you are just tuning in, Keith Good offers so much more. This is just one show out of many that we've had, and we've learned a lot about him and all that he can help you with energy healing. And we're excited that he's here working with children, with teens, with adults, really healing and spiritual mentoring, meditation, and as we've talked about, Akashic Records. But go to the website and you can book your virtual session right then and there. And want to thank you for promoting us on your site too, and putting up all of our podcasts so people can get an idea of what we've been, talking about. But really, just for some new time listeners out there, could you just tell me just a little bit about yourself and how you knew you had this gift as a young child? Could you just go back and share that with us?
Sure. I can't tell you exactly how old I was, but I was 6 or 7 years old, and I was walking through a church, actually, and I said, "This doesn't make sense to me. I feel like I'm drawn to something else, but I didn't know what it was."
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, as the years went on, I had no choice but to delve into that part of my life. And I spent a lot of time in organized religion. And then when I got out on my own, I realized that there's more to this than religion. And I realized that there was a difference between spirituality and religion. And I came up with this idea that spirituality is how I want to believe, and religion is how somebody else wants me to believe. And when I realized that, and I said to myself, how can the Bible be the only book, and the Quran be the only book, and the Torah be the only book, and the sutras be the only writings? I said, this can't be right.
Darn right.
There's got to be something to this.
Yeah.
And I realized that mankind is the narrow-minded ones. God is not.
Yeah.
God gives us pieces of the truth in all religions, and it's up to us to find the truth or the enlightenment. And actually, I got to bring this up because I'm getting ready to do a YouTube channel on it. We're going to talk about the woo-woo stuff. Well, when I researched woo-woo, the word woo, instead of W-O-O, if you write it W-U in Chinese, means enlightenment. So that's where we get the word woo-woo from, is from the Chinese word for enlightenment, I think. So that's interesting that we have, even though it's not a common word used, but that's too woo-woo, it's too metaphysical, it's too etheric, it's too out there. It comes from the word enlightenment in Chinese.
Yeah.
So, and every great person has, as I study, has said, get enlightened, find the truth, find Asham, whatever, Atman, and it goes back, and let me finish what I was saying first. So anyway, as I grew up and I realized that this was all done, I then had to look at things in a little bit different manner. And about 8.5 years ago, a little over 8.5 years ago, someone, some being spoke to me in my head.
Wow.
And told me that I had to go on a 10-year intensive spiritual development path. And that's where I'm at today. I'm almost 9 years into that. I have 1 more year to go. And what's interesting is that as I look back on other people like Yogananda, Swahi Yogananda, or one other visionary I know that we call No Eyes because she was blind. She was an Indian. They all spent 10 years studying before they went out and did anything with people. No Eyes was a shaman and a visionary. And Swahi Yogananda he was the one that brought yoga to the United States in the 20s, right after World War I. And this 10-year thing has something to do with it. I don't understand what. So now I'm on this 10-year thing right now, and that's why I continue, and I'll never stop studying. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It just may not be as intensive as it was. It might become more intensive. It might just be saying, you're done with what we wanted you to. You do what you want now, and I may choose to continue on just as intensively as I have.
Yeah.
So that's sort of me in a nutshell. And I do want to bring out that I do have this YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, I have put one of our podcasts on the YouTube channel. So the first one that we had that was audio video is on the YouTube channel right now. So if anybody misses it or can't see it because they're not on and they can only get the audio from it, they can get the whole video from not just my website, but also from the YouTube channel. And we're going to continue to put these up as often as we can. If I don't get too lazy and not get them up.
No, you got this. You're not. You could do this. Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you. We still have a few more minutes, Keith. I don't want to cut you short. What else can we, pack in for today's conversation?
Okay, I have one more. I have 2 more things on here, but I'm only going to get to one of them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Feeding the dark wolf and feeding the light wolf.
Okay.
We have dark and light inside of us. Which one do you want to feed, the dark wolf or the light wolf? We want to feed the light wolf because that's light. Light always comes out, right?
Yeah.
How much time do we spend? And I asked this to the audience, each person in the audience. How much time do you spend feeding the light wolf? Do you spend an hour a week? Do you spend an hour a day?
Yeah.
If you're not feeding the light wolf, you're feeding the dark wolf. If you're feeding the dark wolf, what's going to take over, the darkness or the lightness? Whichever one you feed the most is going to be the one that prevails.
Yeah.
So we want to feed the light wolf, or the white wolf, whichever one you want to call it, right?
Good idea.
So that means that the all this stuff that we're talking about, talking to people and studying and contemplating and meditating, all these things, you want to do more of that than you do rudimentary, everyday, just garbage.
Yep.
Because when you're not, if you do the garbage, you don't want to call it garbage because you can say,
no,
I'm doing it for my spiritual path. As long as you're doing it in the right mindset, you are still feeding the light wolf. So we want to feed the light wolf on everything. And that's when we can get connected to Source and the omnipresence of Source. Beautiful. So that's the other thing I wanted to bring out, which is a major. I could go on for episode after episode about this, and we may spend one more episode on this before we move on to other things, because I think that spiritual development and spiritual seeking
super
is
important. Absolutely.
The core to everything.
Absolutely it is. So, thank you so much. All right, well, let's wrap it up for today. How can we contact you?
Okay, goodsholistichealing.com, info@goodsholistichealing.com, and 406-272-4006.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you, Keith. I think I'm on vacation next week, so I don't think we're back personally, but hopefully the week after that. I'm not sure when we're scheduled next, but looking forward to the next time. When are we back?
I think 2 weeks from yesterday.
All right, perfect. That's it then. I will be here and looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Keith.
So, thank you very much. Thank all the audience for being there today.
Thank you all so much. And again, reach out to Key, tell him we sent you. And of course, enjoy the rest of your day. Do something different. Make yourself feel good. GoodsHolisticHealing.com. Reach out to him. He'll definitely help you start that path and that journey. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.